All right, so we finished the property details. We're now in the rehab estimator because we want to basically determine, as we discussed, where we sit relative to the seller's opinion of repair value, what we really think the repair is going to cost to make that property marketable. And what we've got here is, let's go to the rehab estimator. And this is an older version. You're going to be seeing an updated version that's much more powerful than this, but we can use this as a good example of what we're likely to find. So you can see the address is auto-populated here, project estimation worksheet. It's just a checklist of drop-down boxes which essentially tells us various, whether it's single family, multifamily, if you're just going to re-shingle versus a re-roof, little cheater boxes here that kind of tell us what's going on with that particular drop-down so that we understand what kind of choices are and what that means. Again, single family, multifamily, get down to, let's say, to windows. How many windows, yes or no. If we needed 15 windows or 12 windows, it auto calculates here based on remember when we configured the tool earlier, we put all these prices in from our contractors, and that's why we did that. So this is kind of getting to be the fun part where we can sort of test the seller, and we have to let the seller know ahead of time that, look, if we're going to tender an offer to them over the phone, which is really our objective, and when we come out to the property, if their seller's assertions aren't consistent with the reality of the property, then any number we gave them on the phone is irrelevant. We're going to have to rediscuss that, and it's a waste of everybody's time to do so. So if by asking a series of questions over here, as an example, what kind of roof do you have? How old is it? Do you know if there are any leaks? This sort of thing coming onto bathrooms. Are there any plumbing leaks? What are the colors of the tub, shower, sink, toilet? Are they all the same color or not? Is there any dry or wet rot, condition of the grout? When you apply pressure from side to side on the toilets, are they sitting solid or do they rock a bit? That's kind of to determine if we need a new wax ring and if there might be water damage from a poor seal. These are the kinds of questions that you can then enter in the answers over here. Let's go down to kitchen, bath, plumbing. Let's say yes, we've got to do that, so maybe $2,500. The point is, as we move through this tool, it's going to auto. We also have a contingency amount. In this case, we have 5% as the default. You can create whatever contingency amount that you want. We get a calculation here, and I'm going to pop over to the analyzer real quick just to show you that number, whatever we calculate here, is actually going to auto-populate right into our repair costs when we're doing an actual pricing out. I'm going to cover the analyzer in a moment. But anyway, this gives us an idea of what we can expect. If we need to do on-the-fly price adjustments, we can actually, all the values we put into the configuration table are evidenced here, but we can change this property per property if there's something exceptional that we need to modify to make it specific to that particular property that we're looking at. And the somersault tool will remember it and associate it with that address that we have active in the opportunities tab, so that every time we come back to it, this will be the pricing structure that will re-up instead of using the defaults if we make any changes to this. And again, the next iteration of the rehab estimator is a much more detailed tool and actually speaks in contractor language. So when you have your contractors come out to bid these various projects, they can look at the description and it will be in their speak. So you don't have to worry about it, and there won't be any wiggle room or, well, yeah, sure, I said I could do that, but that doesn't include this. There won't be that kind of a conversation with them. It'll just be all inclusive, so you'll know what your costs are. And then you can just go through just like a checklist and just go right down the list as you're talking to the seller using the questions and then filling in either the relative correct answers here and the quantities here. The new version will have a unit descriptor here, which would be either linear square feet or linear feet, square feet each, maybe a variety of different things depending on what's appropriate. And then all those numbers will calculate here, interior and exterior fixes, and come up with the final number that again will flow into the analyzer. It's a great way to over the phone assess what a property is likely to cost to fix up, and then you can double check that against the seller's estimate and maybe bring some reality to that conversation. If they think, well, $5,000 to fix it up and your estimate shows 15, 20,000 or even more, well, you can have that conversation and just explain that, well, according to my numbers, maybe your thinking is a little errant, and let me explain why I think it is. And again, you'll use that to justify your offer price and how you came up with it, so they don't get a sense you're just trying to lowball them, but there's some reality behind how you're coming up with what you're coming up with, and just puts you in a very strong position, because it also communicates that you know what you're talking about. You're not green behind the ears, and will also communicate to the seller a certain confidence that if you get into contract with them, that you can actually close this thing because you know what you're talking about. So the next series we'll get into the analyzer, and this is the fun stuff for me. I like the math. But we take the math off your plate and put it right into the Somersault platform, so that while you don't have to be a math maven to work all this stuff, it looks like you are, and that's really the beauty of the analytical tools. And we don't know of any other system out there that has the depth of analysis that Somersault has for your benefit. So you can take a novice mathematician and make you look like you're a college professor, math professor. Very powerful stuff. And shortly here we'll get into the analyzer next.